Ayo, who is that dude? Oh girl, that's just B-Eazy. Oh boy, that's just B-Eazy. Well, who is B-Eazy? Oh, you ain't know he been a pro, for show, all about the dough. He been running up them racks and still trying to get some more. He really one of them ones, his presence so pivotal. So hell yeah, he that dude, this is unequivocal.
La ciencia.
No one to blame.
Me, myself, and I still pushing forward, I'm ahead like die. Standing on my flow with my head to the sky. Pass on a bitch, young rip, drop dimes. It's been a rough road, gotta look for the signs. I'm married to this music, so I cook for my bride. Flip out like a skateboarder, look how I grind. It took a long time, but I'm right on time. I'm progressing, that's progressive, I got bars like a correction. Still chasing petty cash, that's a mantis. I want extra, I stop searching for my pops. I hold my nuts just like a checkup. I get physical, I'm copping just like Interpol. I play on words like a syllable. To me the world is fading. Hold this L just like a Laker. Like a birthday, my shit cake it. It get messy like an apron. I pick out just like some bacon, and I sizzle like it too. Can't forget about you, boo. It feel like we on a loop. Same shit, different day. I don't know what's really true. I get high as I leave hoops. Who gon' give me what I'm owed? Man, I guess nobody knew. And I know that money talks, so what it said is probably true. It's the feeling that I get and the shit I'll probably do to get through or get by. I get fly, cause I'm Jeff Goldblum in my mind. Tell them hoes to fall in line. If you thought I fell off, bitch, I'm back like my spine. Hot as homemade pie. That's the pro rate, ma. I'm a pro, ain't I? Sniff it out like K9s. I'm a thief, it take time to be great, I'm Bayside. I get blue like Kelly Parker. When I'm gone, I left a mark. Tell them fish I'm still a shark. I will embark on this journey till it's finished. In the midst of all this friction, I got vision on my P's like no limit. Like a mouse, now we clicking. I go out for the spinach, that's business.
Cut the cord that kept us connected. Blacking out the mirror where your light once reflected. All of the love from up above. We used to feel like a glove. I still think about the you that only exists in my brain. Nothing ever stays the same. Guess it's just a shame. There's no one to blame.
Stop looking for somebody else to lay the blame. Without a wave of change, life stays the same. So when I pull up to your spot, I'm with a paradigm chick. Only used to have one and it's my paradigm ship. Calls for celebration, I cracked the hen. I took a hiatus, but I'm back again. A bunch of blue face hundreds, I've been stacking them. Cause in the game of life, I just have to win. So when I'm in go mode, I be ballin' insane. Tried to walk away, they was calling my name. My brothers from another, we are all in the game. Don't give a fuck about clout, nor all of the fame. I'm trying to inspire, empower, build and progress at a steady rate. Move heavyweight like a Bowflex. The haters make me greater, they mad, I got them so stressed. Shock my style for a while now, I can show text. Screenshots as proof and receipts. You a certified clown, been a goof in the streets. Angel made the beat, but this my demon flow. Get a lot of love from people I don't even know. And when the situation's ugly like Dudley, we do right. Fuck propaganda, let's conquer and unite. The wait's over, take over, it's commencing. My money fully grown, yours like an infant. But that ain't no shade to you, it's just provision and protection, what you made to do. Being a man with a purpose, who you supposed to be. Living life as a loser, that's a joke to me. FN 509, stay close to me. If I pull it, I'ma spray like some potpourri. I don't wanna have to go there, so hopefully you don't try to have no beef or no smoke with me. Bro, everything I'm talking about, be backing it up. I'm back in the cuts, rapping the Dutch and macking a hut. She start to get aroused when I'm smacking her butt. Baby got stupid cheeks and she be clapping it up. I'ma enter through the front and hit the back of her guts. She a classy lady but be acting a slut. When we be kissing and cuddling, my bitch like to hug. Her box customized so it fit like a glove. Turn your radios up. Turn your radios up. Y'all know what this is. Y'all know who this is. B-Eazy Dat Dude, an impromptu stream back with another one. This one is gonna be a banger. This a double header, so it will be a doozy. It's late night. I don't like to keep y'all waiting. So before we get this thing started, I gotta hit you.
If you know the song, sing along. Yeah, you're right.
私も地元民と言っても実は世代です。もう友達できたの？うん。ぶったまんまこっち見ろ。
Look, this promethazine got me leaning like a cholo in the club. I'm 20 deep. I don't be riding solo. Pull some bad bitches, they vanilla and cocoa. They wanna take some photos when we kick it out in Soho. Chicks are showing tits and popping pussy for my promo. Told them like juvenile, baby, move it for me slow mo. Then I'm right back to the block, cause I keep getting modo. I be flipping, not shrinking. I don't give a fuck about no ho. This nigga name ain't D-Lo, but pimpin' these bitches and stacking this bread forever be my stilo. This is B-Eazy Dat Dude in the trap making pass smooth. If I ever go broke, then I'm about to pull a jack move. Since a nigga healthy, I don't even gotta worry. With my bitch from Fiji eating tandoori and chicken curry, that ism is really in me. My pimp game international. I design my own clothes, so I be always looking fashionable. Here's a couple facts about me that y'all didn't know. Some of y'all be getting bread, but I be getting bigger, dawg. I got bigger guns and a whole lot of bad. And we are activated, and we gonna get right into this thing because it's late night and I already came earlier, hit y'all with a banger, and it seemed like the people was feeling that stream. So salute to y'all, all that viewed it concurrently and that will be watching it on the replay. But we got the illustrious guest rolling in, Mr. Shakara King, Mr. On Time, Never Late. And we got John Cien, one of the illest and the dopest with a pen, aka John Sinatra. And we got Frank Nitty, Mr. Gritty, slid through to put on for the biddy. In built-in. Salute to y'all. We getting right into this thing. So there have been these lunatic liberals in addition to the MAGA morons, right? And the MAGA morons were voting for Trump because they wanted mass deportations, right? They were vehemently against open borders, so they say, but there are no mass deportations going on. However, people still did vote for that. So this person who does have anti-black views, but this dude's name is James Klug. He's one of the dudes who I call polite supremacists, right? So they'll hold bigoted views, but they'll say them politely and very meek and be soft-spoken. So it's like someone calling you the N-word, yelling it to your face, and someone whispering it behind your ear. Both people hold the same views. It's just one has a little bit more decorum, polite supremacy. So we're going to get into this video of the W's talking to other W's about open borders and illegal immigration. And you're going to hear a reoccurring theme, which is why I put it in the thumbnail. Who's gonna pick the fruit? You know the sayings that they like to say. Immigrants are just doing the jobs that no one wants to do, right? No one will drive trucks. Shout out to my bro John and other people out there who have an experience in driving trucks. No one will farm. There's a bunch of black farmers that are expert farmers. No one will work at fast food restaurants.
When I grew up, it was a bunch of black people working construction. No one will work construction. So they're doing the jobs that no one wants to do is a lie. Now, would someone do the job getting paid $2 an hour or getting paid with some Takis, a Modelo, and some horchata? Yeah, we wouldn't do it for that rate. So if you're saying that, would you do it for, a bag of flaming hot Cheetos and some Modelo Negra? No, we wouldn't do the job for that. But will we do it for American living wages? Of course. So the whole framing of they're doing the jobs that no one wants to do, that's just a flat out lie. Now, they should be commended for doing tough, arduous, dirty jobs. But though they aren't the only ones willing to do those jobs, you have people in prison doing jobs that no one wants to do. Think about the fire camp, right? Trained firemen are sometimes passing the jobs on to prisoners, right? Those prisoners aren't trained in putting out fires, but they say, you know what? You do the crime, you do the time, and get out there and put out those fires because we don't want to put it out. It's dangerous. And, you're a criminal, so your life is expendable, right? So if we got criminals doing jobs, if we got teenagers doing jobs, where the myth that they're doing the jobs that no one wants to do? There was a reason why they had these jobs and they were called a pool boy. It wasn't called a pool man. It was called a pool boy because those were summer jobs that teenagers was doing. It was called a paper boy. It wasn't called a paper man because young boys were running their paper routes and all this stuff. Now, most people don't read newspapers, but even when they did start reading newspapers, that job went to grown men, many undocumented immigrants. It used to be teenagers working at fast food places. Now, go to these fast food places, you'll be hard pressed to find a teenager. You see a bunch of grown people there. So where are these young people getting their money from? There's no paper boys anymore. There's no pool boys anymore. There's barely any teenagers working in fast food. So where are they going to get their money? So if they start gang banging, slanging a little bit of something, then people start talking about, oh my God, the fatherless homes. And what are we going to do? It's like whether someone has a father or not, if people are not socially economic, if people are not satisfied with their current socioeconomic status, then people are going to turn to what's called the informal economy to make money, right? Now the young girls that used to work at fast food, now many of these young girls are just create a OnlyFans and start selling cooch. I mean, is this really what we wanted for our people? All in the name of who's going to pick the fruit? Okay, let's get into it though.
Or not, you have to stand up for what you believe in. And
why did I vote for him?
Yeah.
He's asking the question. Oh no! Please ask away.
So here you see these people with the no kings and blase, but we've been joined by sunlight from the Sunshine State, shining brighter than a diamond. The Florida fam coming in, even though it's late, they still are supporting. Salute, sunlight. Let's get back into it though. So mind you, we're talking about who's gonna pick the fruit. So these are people that are advocating for open borders versus the interviewer who is against open borders.
Yes, ma'am.
well, it's like you dare not. You have to stand up for what you believe in. And
Why did I vote for him?
Yeah.
He's
asking the question.
Oh no! Please ask away. That's okay. Yeah. Do you mind if she finishes what she was saying or no?
Yeah, I think you should premise before you ask any questions to any of us why you voted for him.
Yeah, I voted for him primarily for mass deportations.
Sweet.
Yeah.
How un-American of you.
I'm sorry?
How un-American of you.
Why is that un-American? Look it up? Okay, good argument.
What about all the farm workers?
Yeah, that's a bit of a cowardly response. Now I'm going to be bringing it up. I will be switching back like this. So if y'all see me switch back, this is just for the commentary. So this dude is talking about The dude said he voted for Trump for the mass deportations. And just to be clear, there's no mass deportations going on. It's a lot of bloviating, bluster, and beating of the chest, but Trump is not mass deporting anyone. Now, there are controversial deportations where people are saddened and believe that some of the ICE encounters are horrific. That still doesn't equate to mass deportations. And here we got this Lily W man pretending that he's fighting for immigrants. It's un-American to mass deport people. No, what's un-American is to have tens of millions of people flooding into the country illegally. All these people that say no one's illegal on stolen land. You've heard all of the chants, right? The people love to say that. Then look where their homeland is. People will be from Mexico, Colombia, China, India, talking about no one's illegal on stolen land. But you can't just waltz into China and say no one's illegal on stolen land. Mexico is right next to us. You can't go to Mexico wearing a shirt talking about no one is illegal on stolen land. They will be pointing guns at you saying that you can't get in here. And if they do let you in here, the first place they're going to throw you in is jail. But they're over here whining about the ICE detention centers and all this other stuff. If America is so bad, why are you trying to come here? No, seriously, it's such a horrible place, the big bad boogeyman where the U.S. imperialists live. So why would you want to come here? And then the follow up is the U.S. They destabilized my homeland. Okay, yeah, the U.S. did have a part to play in that, but rather than whining about the U.S. destabilizing your homeland, so you need to flee to the U.S., how about you stand and fight? Stand up to the corrupt leaders in your homeland. Right? Yes, I'm against the meddling. I'm against the coup d'etats. I'm against installing puppet leaders. However, how were they able to successfully do this? It was with the complicity and the cooperation of the corrupt leaders in your homeland. Many of these people that flee here and they say they're seeking asylum, instead of fleeing, how about you fight? See, the reason why we're here is because we fought. They were saying you're not human. They were lynching us, enslaving us, debt peonage, sharecropping, mass incarceration over and over with the atrocities and the racial terror. And guess what? We looked it in the face and said, we're going to keep on persisting. We're going to keep on persevering. We stood and fight. We fought so that everyone else could benefit. What have these other peoples who are seeking asylum, what have they fought for in their homeland that we can go and enjoy? They haven't fought for them to enjoy anything in their homeland. So they haven't fought for non-citizens. So people kind of take the plight, the civil rights movement, the bloodshed, the brains bashed on the concrete. They take that for granted. So because someone else got their head bashed and it's like, cool, I can just waltz on in. I'm a model minority and you got to treat me with respect. Okay, even though in your homeland, y'all ain't treating black people with respect, and they're not fighting to treat black people for respect. Instead, they say, yeah, black people are being mistreated, so we're just going to flee to another country. Okay. And these are the people that we believe are going to be a boon to the society, right? No, open borders is dangerous and detrimental. Now, I'm not against immigrants and I'm not against immigration. I am against illegal immigration. I am against the process of immigration being weaponized against foundational black Americans. All these people who love, this is a nation of immigrants built by immigrants. And then you say, okay, fine. This is a nation of immigrants built by immigrants. So we'll have a bunch of immigrants who recently arrived here, put in your neighborhood. Suddenly people start getting infuriated. Chinatown. Do you think Chinatown wants an influx of random Asian immigrants in Chinatown? No, they don't. And people will say, okay, fine, but you got to understand. No, I don't have to understand. Most of those Chinese people are immigrants, so they should be open to having more immigrants in their area, but they're not. The Chinese people don't want an influx of immigrants in their neighborhood, even though they're mostly immigrants. You look at New York as a bunch of immigrants who could barely speak English, but they speak English good enough to say that they don't want a bunch of immigrants there. So guess where they place these immigrants? Not in Martha's Vineyard, not in an Asian neighborhood, not in a Hispanic neighborhood, in a black neighborhood. And now there's no black neighborhood anymore because it's mostly Hispanic. And now your students and your children have to learn Spanish just because there was an influx of immigrants. Send them to Martha's Vineyard. Send them to the Lily W neighborhoods that have all the money. The lunatic liberals, they love these model minorities. They work so much harder than the black. Okay, well, let those immigrants work hard in your neighborhood. It's funny how these people are bleeding hearts for immigrants as long as they're not in their neighborhood, right? So let's get back to this video. Look at all these W's, right? They're over here fighting so hard for immigrants because many of them marry immigrants, but they won't fight to protect the black people that they have a history of discriminating against. There's no history of immigrants coming to this country being lynched. There's no history of immigrants being mass incarcerated just because they're immigrants. This has happened to people just because they were black, though, but they want to convince you that it's somehow the same, right? Someone being enslaved, treated as chattel property, right? They want you to believe that that's the same as someone voluntarily coming to the country. Now, even if they came through treacherous terrain, that's horrible, right? But this is why I'm advocating against illegal immigration. If you want to have people immigrate here, have them do it the proper way. And then people will start arguing, which you'll see some of these arguments. Man, it's hard to enter the country legally. And then they'll flip and turn and say, this is a nation of laws. You do the crime, you do the time. Which one is it? If we're a nation of laws, then we need to enforce the law. And we can start at the border.
What about these farmers that need workers? What about...
That wasn't much of a conversation. I don't buy it. Come on.
Come on, Tom.
Come on, Tom.
He's got to go get the car.
Okay, that's okay. I'm not going to bully Tom. Take it away.
I thought that was a good idea that, we needed, there was too many people that were coming in the country, but he could have done it a different way, 70, 80% of the people that he's deporting are people that have families here. They've lived here a long time. Why do that?
But we what should the punishment?
You see, and this is like he said, most of the people have families. U.S. citizens have families. The people who are struggling in black neighborhoods have families. And then when a bunch of undocumented immigrants get dropped in their neighborhood, giving resources that they denied, they tell us, why y'all big in the government? And then as soon as they bring immigrants over here, what's the first thing that they do? Hey, government, give me something. Give me protections. Give me housing. Give me vouchers, right? So they're telling you as a taxpayer to not ask the government for anything, but someone who fears for their life and seeking asylum, they should be able to ask your government for something that they didn't pay taxes into, right? And then they say, well, immigrants pay taxes. If someone just got here and crossed the border, what taxes have they paid? And then they say, oh no, they will pay taxes because they bought some groceries at a bodega and they were charged sale tax. See, they pay taxes. Okay, that's not what we're talking about. How does this help your community? It doesn't. And I'm specifically talking about the foundational Black American community. Bringing in an influx of people, there's no argument that you can make how it helps you. And then they start using obtuse arguments. Well, y'all like tacos, right? So once we bring in an undocumented immigrant and give them grant money to start their own business, look, now you can buy tacos from them. Now, how about you give that money to me, a native-born foundational Black American, to start my own business? Then it turns into shut up, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And then when we say, okay, fine, we will pull ourselves up by our bootstrap, but tell the new Americans that too. But they don't tell them that. They have goodies, giveaways, and guarantees while at the same time telling them they're a model minority. They've convinced you to believe this lie. They only had $2 in their pocket. Name the poorest state in America. What place could you survive with $2 in your pocket? These people are coming over here with families. They came over here with a family and allegedly $2 in their pocket. And let's just say that they did. If they had $2 in their pocket, what did they eat? What could you buy for dinner for $2? And then if they had $2 in their pocket, how did they get money? How did they survive a week? No one asked these questions. Oh, they had a sponsor. Having a sponsor is not pulling yourself up by your bootstrap. A NGO helped them. That's not pulling yourself up by your bootstrap. So all of these people that tell you they're the model minority and they work so hard, then when you start looking, you're like, damn, you got a lot of handouts on the way. And I'm not against handouts. I believe handouts can be a hand up. But they always demonize us. Y'all don't need reparations. Reparations isn't a handout. Reparations is a debt owed. If we don't need reparations, then these newcomers don't need goodies, giveaways, and guarantees, right? Look at LA specifically, and I'm in Cali, the belly of the beast for illegal immigration, handouts and goodies and giveaways to these people, right? They created a fund that helps immigrants. $50 million for free legal service, but only for immigrants, right? They know that disproportionately Black people are racially targeted, and there's a lot of, chicanery going on when it comes to the convictions of Black people, right? Where's the free $50 million legal fund? And it don't even have to be Blacks. It could just be for Americans who are rightfully, unjustifiably targeted with the justice system. Where's our funds? Right? There's no funds for us. It's like you got to figure it out. You got to pawn a ring. You got to put your house up, right, for collateral. But meanwhile, someone who's a newcomer gets to waltz over here and gets free legal services because they have a family. Okay, let's get back into it.
For entering the country illegally, B. Yeah, good seeing you. Have a good one, man. You guys, the important question right there, I guess, becomes, what should the punishment be for entering the country illegally?
Well, remember Ronald Reagan, he gave amnesty to all the people that were here. If they've been good, they haven't broken the law, they've done good things for this country, they've paid taxes.
Right.
I think, hey, that's a legitimate.
So this is the thing too, right? He's talking about Ronald Reagan, which is true, right? They love to paint Ronald Reagan as a bastion of conservatism, but many of these moist MAGA morons are always whining against open borders. Well, guess who helped facilitate open borders? A Lily W. conservative by the name of Ronald Reagan. People are against reparations. Ronald Reagan wasn't against reparations. He's against reparations for foundational Black American freedmen, but he did give reparations to Japanese people. And people understand Japanese people are Asian. He didn't give racial reparations to Asians. He gave reparations to Japanese people. So when we're fighting for reparations, we're fighting for lineage and status-based reparations. Anyone that's pushing race-based reparations are an op, and they're trying to derail the conversation and say, see, we tried. The Supreme Court has said over and over and over how race-based policy is unconstitutional. Even though they racially targeted people, they're saying race-based repair is unconstitutional. Well, when we're pushing for reparations for foundational Black Americans, it's not race-based. You're trying to frame it as race-based to undermine it. It's lineage and status-based, just like the Japanese people got, based on their lineage and status. They didn't give reparations to all Asian people. They didn't say China people, Filipino people, Korean people, y'all Asian, so y'all get to get these reparations that were paying out to the Japanese people. It was for a specific group that suffered a specific harm. So that's what it is with foundational Black Americans. Now, people purport to be high IQ. How can't the high IQs figure this out? So either they're not as high IQ as they purport to be, which means they're dumb, or they actually do know exactly what I'm talking about, and their anti-Blackness is seething and showing. If that's the case, just say it with your chest. Just say that you hate these niggers, right? Why are you pretending? You have the freedom of speech, you know what I mean? No one is stopping you. That's how you truly believe, but instead they'd like to pretend like, hey, we're on your side, buddy. Meanwhile, as soon as you turn around, they stab you in the back, for open borders, because who's gonna pick the fruit? Listen to these pathetic arguments, right? So illegal immigrants, people who came here illegally, they shouldn't be deported because they have a family. This is the whole term anchor baby, because once you have a baby, that baby anchors you here. So even if you came here illegally, but he has a family, yeah, and he came here illegally, but you're not supposed to care that he came here illegally because of his family. Well, these U.S. native born citizens have families too. They don't care about U.S. citizens' families, but there's always a bleeding heart for an immigrant family. Now, I'm a humanitarian, so I care about uplifting everyone. But just because I'm a humanitarian doesn't mean that we need to invite the globe to the U.S. This is the greatest nation ever, right? They estimate 8+ billion people. Should they all try to cram in the U.S. because this is the greatest nation?
I hear what. Good seeing you. Have a good one, man. You guys, the important question right there, I guess, becomes like, what should the punishment be for entering the country illegally?
Well, remember Ronald Reagan? He gave amnesty to all the people that were here. You know, if they've been good, they haven't broken the law. They've done good things for this country. They've paid taxes.
Right.
I think, hey, that's a legitimate,
This whole they haven't broken the law, entering in the country is illegally is breaking the law. Now you can say that, okay, it's a minor infraction, right? It's not that big a deal. Breaking the law is breaking the law, right? So there's never this bleeding heart and there's this level of understanding when it comes to us. If there was a black dude on the corner that sold 1/8 of weed, he broke the law, and then people will be pushing, you do the crime, you do the time. Now there's white dudes selling metric tons of weed. No one is getting locked up. The black dude sold less than that, a scintilla, 1/8 of weed, and was locked up. And people were okay with it because he broke the law. Okay, fine. Entering in the country illegally is breaking the law. And they want to convince you that someone selling weed to someone who loves to smoke weed, no one is forcing people to buy weed. They're selling weed to people who want to buy weed. But are people really asking for people to come into the country illegally? What is a worse infraction? Someone selling weed to someone who wants to buy weed, or someone breaking in the country illegally? No one asks you to come in the country illegally. And then you say, oh, I only broke into the country illegally because I was seeking a better life. There's a bunch of kids in Oakland seeking a better life. There's a bunch of people in Baltimore and St. Louis seeking a better life. And now that I think about it, if you live in a gated community, I'm seeking a better life. Should I be able to hop the fence and come into your refrigerator and eat whatever I want because I'm seeking a better meal, right? I want to be more nutritious. So I'm going to go to Martha's Vineyard, break into someone's house and start eating their food. Matter of fact, I'll break into Martha's Vineyard and set up a tent encampment because no one's illegal on stolen land, right? They say that, but then as soon as they dropped the immigrants at Martha's Vineyard, they gave them a pat on the back, a Capri Sun, and some Ritz crackers and told them, you're out of here, buddy. We love you. You don't got to go home. You don't got to go back to your homeland, but you got to get the F out of here. That's what the bleeding lunatic liberals said, right? And guess where they dumped them at? And like Frank said, they can't have it both ways, but they are trying to have it both ways, right? They're over here whining, talking about we're a nation of laws and law and orders, except if you cross the border illegally. That's a criminal offense. Then they start trying to downplay it. Yeah, it's a criminal offense, but it ain't that bad. Yeah, selling weed to people who want to buy weed ain't that bad either. But hey, that's disturbing the peace. Selling weed to somebody that wants to smoke weed and play Fortnite, somehow that's horrible. But someone breaking into the country, we're supposed to downplay that. It's like, it ain't that bad. Well, selling weed to people ain't that bad either, right? Let's get back into it.
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying right there.
Who's going to do the dirty work?
Yeah.
Whites are too lazy to do the dirty work. I'm sorry
Really
to say
quick.
that because I did that.
Did she want to hop in the conversation?
Did you hear what he said? Whites are too lazy to do the dirty work. So like Frank is saying, they can't have it both ways. On one hand, they say we built the nation. It wasn't stolen. It was conquered. How did you conquer something if you were that lazy, right? I mean, they reveal how lazy they are with saying, you blacks, you were just farm equipment. If we were just farm equipment, why didn't you do your own farming? Oh, let me guess, because you were lazy. And this has been the history of the country. We're too lazy to do our own work. So, hey, let's enslave people to do it. And since we can't enslave people anymore, hey, let's have undocumented people who come here illegally so we can exploit them and pay them under the table because we're too lazy to do it. At least he's admitting that, right? So I don't want to hear all these people talking about the black people is lazy. Where you got, this Lily W gentleman over here saying that his community, the W's, are too lazy to do their own work. That's why they need illegal, undocumented labor.
Good city. They haven't broken the law. They've done good things for this country. They've paid taxes.
Right.
I think, hey, that's a legitimate,
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying right there.
Who's going to do the dirty work?
Yeah.
Whites are too lazy to do the dirty work. I'm sorry
Really
to say
quick.
that because I did that.
Did she want to hop in the conversation, or she just...
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if she is. She's like the sign.
She liked your sign. That's why she was
So
whispering
don't
to you.
you agree with me on that point where, you got to take a lot, and he campaigned on taking all the criminals and...
Do you mind if I respond to that?
Sure. Yeah, no. I want you
So
to.
he campaigned on the largest deportation effort in American history. He said worst first. So we just want to clarify that, right?
I'm sorry?
He said worst first.
Yeah, exactly.
It was worst only, wasn't it?
Nope, not worst only. This is it was worst first, and it was the largest deportation effort in American history. The problem is, you guys.
I lies so much. Why would I listen to one thing he said anyway? I mean, he lies about everything.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, maybe we can talk about that after I address this.
Go ahead.
But I hear what you're saying, man. The only problem is I'm not sold on the argument that exploiting cheap illegal labor is the right thing to do. You have a ton of Americans that are struggling to get more wages. We have overcrowded classrooms. We have housing crisis. We have all sorts of issues going on. I don't think dumping 10 million people on top of that over the last 4 years is a good idea. What do you think?
I'll see you over there. I agree.
And
But
why
that's
exploit
hypocritical the way you
cheap
say
illegal
that.
labor?
Yeah, but hypocritical.
You're saying
So then he says he agrees, but then he's also advocating for open borders. Now, does anyone believe that this dude right here, does anyone believes that he wants an influx of illegal, undocumented immigrants in his neighborhood? All of the people, ice out, right? But then if you try to put immigrants in their neighborhood, then they say immigrants out. The same people that are caping for immigrants, and this isn't against immigrants, right? Immigrants are human beings. I'm a humanitarian. I love all people, regardless of their citizenship status. But this isn't personal, right? This is just business. And I'm talking about lineage business that I'm standing on, right? All of these bleeding hearts, right? Show the bleeding heart that they have for black people. They don't give a damn about black people. They have so much, compassion for non-citizens that they don't even know. But for foundational black Americans who built the country, they're like, yeah, whatever, you were farm equipment, right? And then now they're trying to praise undocumented immigrants for being farm equipment. Make it make sense. And we've been joined by the infamous Red 6. What it did do, Red 6, this one is gonna be a banger.
So much. Why would I listen to one thing he said anyway? I mean, he lies about everything.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, maybe we can talk about that after I address this.
Go ahead.
But I hear what
I mean, because
I'm more than happy to wear a $20 shirt.
I don't know where this shirt's made, but hypocritical.
You're saying we need their slave labor, basically?
Okay, where do we buy all our cheap stuff from slave labor? Is that okay?
No, I want to bring the factories back to the United States. Do you want to bring
No
the
one can
factories back to
afford
the
it.
United States?
No one can afford it.
What do
If
you
you did that, if you did.
So now he's advocating for what they call slave labor, and people need to get the terminology right. It's not slave labor. Slave labor is free labor. These people are being paid. So we can call it indentured servitude labor. That would be more appropriate. None of these people are getting whipped, right? None of these people are being lynched. None of these people are having amputations or castrations. I mean, I don't know about a organized systemic effort to be RAPE and forcibly penetrating these immigrant children, although there have been reports of many of them going missing, which is why I'm vehemently against illegal immigration, because it's a hotbed for human trafficking. And anybody that says they pro-life and they love the babies, right? You wouldn't be champion on for illegal immigration. But here we got this Lily W dude saying why people are too lazy to do the job, so let's bring in slave labor. And then he's advocating for so-called slave labor because we don't want our prices to go up. Mind you, these are the people who talk about that America is a white Christian nation, a bastion of morality. Does this sound like morality, right? People love to say, what would Jesus do? Would Jesus say that, hey, look, we got to bring over more slave labor so we can have cheaper products? And no, we can't hire Americans, because if we hire Americans, things are going to be too high. Well, things are already too high. Let me just debunk that argument real quick. Biden, when he was in office, he let in millions and millions of undocumented illegal aliens, is what the legal terminology says, right? Some say 5, 10, 20 million or more, right? And you would think that, hey, you bringing in all these people, right? This is a nation of immigrants built by immigrants, right? That's what they always say. So you would think that an influx of millions and millions of immigrants would lower costs. But guess what? It didn't. Gas was still well over $5 with the influx of immigrants. Did your interest rates go down because Biden had open borders? Could you suddenly afford a home because Biden let the borders open? Did your job start paying you more when Biden let in all those immigrants? So they're framing it as such a great thing for you, but many people got displaced. Now, I'm not saying it was the fault of the immigrants. They're just seeking a better life, right? But what about the American dream? The American dream has turned into the global dream, where you fixate and focus on the globe rather than Americans. So how is this America first again? No, they're about the universe first. Bring in everybody, right? We got sick, tired, poor Americans, and then they're over here pushing some, bring us your sick, you're tired, you're poor. How would that even make any sense? Imagine you're at home with a sick child, and then you say, hey, bring me some sick, tired, poor immigrants. How? You haven't even cured your sick child. Why would you want another sick child from another part of the world to come in when you haven't even tended to your sick child? We have people that are homeless. We have people that are unemployed or underemployed. And they think that the way, hey, look, man, we know your wages are stagnant. So how are you going to help increase wages to a living wage? Well, we'll bring in a bunch of immigrants to stagnate the wages and lower the wages, because they're just doing the jobs that no one wants to do. But who was doing the jobs before they got here? Oh, that was Americans. So I thought you said no one would do the jobs. Clearly, people would do the jobs. How many times do I got to run down the list? No one will do it. Construction. Come on now. Nobody will do landscaping. Nobody will do plumbing. Nobody will work at fast food. Nobody will drive trucks. Nobody will pick fruit and farm. I mean, who are we kidding here? And this person says, depends on who you're talking about, because many white people march in the BLM protests. Oh, my goodness. Kenneth, bruh. Kenneth. I don't give a flying fig Newton about white people marching in BLM protests. And you are factually correct. Most of the protests were white people, right? Because many black people knew that marching in the streets for BLM wasn't going to do a thing. And what did it do? It didn't do anything. They commissioned some George Floyd statues, which no one asked for. They painted some murals in the street, which no one asked for. And when I say no one, I'm being hyperbolic, but I'm talking about the collective of the community. If they said, hey, do you guys want a George Floyd statue or some tangibles that will uplift your community? people wouldn't say, no, forget the tangibles. Give us a George Floyd statue. We weren't asking for that. We really weren't asking for white people to march in the streets. We were asking for white people to help us legislatively. And many white people, they said, I bought a BLM shirt. I marched in the street. Yeah, you marched in the street and went back to a Lily W segregated neighborhood. And I'm not saying you specific, Kenneth, but hey, if it doesn't apply, let it fly. And if the shoe fits, go ahead and wear it and tie it up. But this whole we march for BLM, you know how many other black people died in a very barbaric and heinous fashion before? So they didn't march for Philando Castile. They didn't march for Trayvon Martin. They didn't march for Breonna Taylor, right? There's so many other names. Michael Brown, they didn't march for them. But we marched for George Floyd. Okay, what happened to Tyree Nichols? Right? There were other people after George Floyd that were brutally and violently slain by the hands of the police. Where were the marches then? So this whole we march with BLM, that was for a certain segment, right? And now many of those same people that march with BLM are calling it woke. They were lying, talking about cities were being burnt down. There was not one single city burnt down. And look at what racial demographic is most known for arson. It's not black people, right? So, hey, salute to you for marching for BLM. But like when it came time for the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, where were the Lily W's marching for that? We see them talking about no kings and ice out, marching and vehemently crying and whining over that. But they didn't do that. They didn't do that for the accountability for the police. All they have to hang their hat on is that they bought a George Floyd shirt and marched with BLM, or they put hashtag BLM. Black lives still matter. Are you still protesting today? Are you still putting hashtag BLM today? No. So what is the point of even bringing it up? You said gas was not over $5 average under Biden. Yes, it was. I'm in California, so it was. Now, you can butt kiss and bootlick for Biden because maybe you're a Democrat shill. Salute to you for being that. But I'm in California. So yes, it was. And even let's just say it was $4, right? The prices weren't lower. The whole thing is that we got to bring in an influx of immigrants for the prices to go lower. Prices went up under Biden and they're going up under Trump because of the war, but prices went up. So this whole thing that we need in more immigrants, when are the prices going to drop? Are you going to tell me that wages are going to start going up because we had an influx of immigrants? Are housing prices going to go up or down because we had an influx of immigrants? Kenneth Caldwell, you already know this, bro. So I get it, bro. Either you're an immigrant or your family has an immigrant background. So you have to kind of cape for Biden and open borders. But it's like, you got to call a spade a spade. Just stop lying and gaslighting. Younger generations are lazy for the most part. Okay. So what are we going to bring in? A bunch of old immigrants? The young people are lazy, so bring in some old undocumented immigrants because they work so hard. Like, what exactly are you advocating for? Immigrants stagnating wages is a right-wing lie. It's greedy corporations, government that have kept the wages down. Yeah, they've weaponized immigration to keep the wages down, right? They don't just keep the wages down. They use the immigrants as a cudgel. And this is not to blame immigrants, but they are being used to weaponize against the American population. It's not a right-wing lie. You know what I mean? So you said I grew up in an 87% black neighborhood. So I can guarantee whatever neighborhood you grew up in, it's not 87% black no more. Oakland in the 90s was 47% black. Now it's 17% black due to an influx of undocumented immigrants. How does that help the black neighborhood? Richmond, California was 47% black as well. Now it's about 19% black. How does that help the black community? It doesn't at all. And many of these people come over here with anti-black views. So how does an influx of a significant amount of anti-black immigrants, how does that help us? It doesn't. And Kenneth Caldwell, you can't make an argument that it does help us. Maybe it helps your community, you know what I mean? Your immigrant community. So salute to you. But it doesn't help the black community at all. You can't give me one metric that says an influx of undocumented immigrants helps the black community. You said the whites don't want progress for us on either side. Yeah, either side. That's why I talk about the lunatic liberals and the MAGA morons. Both of them are okay with us being displaced and replaced. You know what I mean? They don't care where the immigrants are being dropped until they drop them in their neighborhood. Think about whatever city, state you're in. Think about the most affluent neighborhoods and ask yourself this: would that neighborhood be okay with the influx of undocumented immigrants? You know what the answer is. So they're not okay with it, but yet we should be okay with it. Y'all was poor. Y'all don't have no political power. So they try to prey on vulnerable communities, a community that's disenfranchised, a community that may be destitute. They'll dump people there, give them resources, goodies and giveaways and guarantees that they said, oh, those aren't available. No, they're not available to citizens, but they are available to non-citizens. California has a higher cost of living because of its population. Missouri only reached $3.85 at its highest under Biden. Now it's $4.29 a gallon now. See, yeah, you're in Missouri, so you're saying, oh, gas wasn't that high in Missouri. Yeah, I'm in California. Like I said, the belly of the beast for illegal immigration and corruption and anti-blackness. So yes, gas was $5 and now it's over $6. So I ain't telling you what I thought. I'm telling you what I know. If you grew up in an 87% black neighborhood, how would you know the effects of immigration? He doesn't know. It's just like Kenneth is kind of like rambling and babbling incoherently. And I can guarantee you that that neighborhood that he claims to grow up in, it's not 87% black no more, but he doesn't care. It wasn't the immigrants that held the KC mode down and bad. It was the politicians who took money away from the school and kept the jobs away from bringing in growth. I concur. What demographic were those politicians and who were they beholden to? They were beholden to lobbyists and donors and corporate oligarchs who look like you, Kenny. Call that out. This isn't a blame and bash immigrants segment, right? Because they're just seeking a better life, right? But what about the Americans? What about those blacks in that 87% black neighborhood that you grew up? What better life could they seek? Let's get back into it.
What you just said, things would triple in price.
Really? Because I'm wearing an American-made shirt right now, and it was like $20.
That's expensive. I mean, because
I'm more than happy to wear a $20 shirt.
I don't know where this shirt's made, but you know, this is long sleeve, quick dry. You buy it at Costco, it's $10. You know, okay. But it's probably not made in America.
Yeah.
You know, $20 for a cheap shirt like this. I guess
it's a nice shirt. Oh, you don't think I look good in it?
Is it 100% cotton?
I don't know the breakdown.
I used to be a 100% cotton guy, but now it's quick dry.
Well, hey, you're obviously a good time to talk to, and this is pretty like good faith. So I think we can actually get somewhere with this. My question is, why is it cheap overseas, right?
Slave labor.
There you go. And what is happening to factories across the world right now? AI revolution and automation, right? The argument of slave labor when it comes to factories, right, is largely going extinct. So a lot of these people that we're bringing in for this cheap labor, we're not going to need in the next 10 years. So what are they all going to do?
Pick the fruit?
Get automation for that.
No, you can't. You can't get automation.
Yeah, I promise.
You heard that? Who's going to pick the fruit? That's their main thing that they love to say. Who's going to pick the fruit? And like the dude said, automation. Now they have machines that will pick fruit faster than 10 humans combined, right? So the whole they're picking the fruit and doing the jobs that no one wants to do, that's a flat out lie. Kenneth said that stagnating the wages, that's a right-wing lie. Well, no, what's a right-wing lie is that immigrants are doing the jobs that no one wants to do. All of these industries have been done by Americans, right? So why are we pretending that if there's no Americans that will do these jobs, right? And Kenneth says Missouri is Republican lead and their policies are still hurting people, both black and white. Well, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I think both parties are disgusting. Two wings on the same bird, two cheeks on the same booty. So I don't mind calling out the Republicans because I'm not beholden to any politician. I vote based on policy, not popularity and personality. But you said, why is watermelon $10 right now? I don't know. You gotta ask Trump. You gotta ask the people in your community, Kenneth. And when you say Republicans, what racial demographic are they, right? Because I know people love to say, you know what I mean? They love to talk about black on black crime and all this other stuff. But when you got Republicans and they're committing economic crimes on other white people, it's not framed as white on white crime. They're harming people, like Kenneth said, they're harming people black and white. Look at the Republican Party. Over 90% of them are white. You know what I mean? So it's people in your community that are causing this harm, unfortunately.
Almond on a tree. You can't get automation to pick up peach on a fruit tree. It's got to be hand done.
Yeah, and you're saying that they have to. Your argument is that they have to be cheap labor. We're not going to need it in the next 10 years. So what are they all going to do?
Pick the fruit?
Get automation for that.
No, you can't. You can't get automation.
Yeah,
to
I promise.
pick a
I promise.
walnut on a tree. You can't get automation to pick up peach on a fruit tree. It's got to be hand done.
Yeah, and you're saying that they have. Your argument is that they have to be illegal immigrants. Is that correct?
No, but you're not going to get someone like you or I that's living in the country. They're too lazy.
That's not what I'm saying.
Well, I'm just saying.
What about legal immigrants? What about?
So there he goes again. See, he has no issue calling us lazy. Americans are too lazy to do the job. But then if I say, hey, were immigrants too lazy to fight in their homeland? No, they weren't lazy. They work hard. Okay, cool. Why didn't they work hard in their homeland? Why didn't they fight in their homeland? That's xenophobic. I'm just asking questions. You said that these people have a propensity for working hard. And then when you ask, hey, where is the evidence of them working hard in their homeland? People can't point to it. You know what I mean? Somehow that's xenophobic, right?
What about legal?
There you
immigrants?
go. Legal. Yeah, I agree with legal.
You're making the argument right now for cheap illegal labor. I'm saying that's a bad idea. I'm saying that's wrong to have people in the country illegally to exploit their labor. That's what I'm saying, right?
20, 30 years, they got families. You can call them illegal, but they're part of.
So there he goes again. These people have families. American citizens have families. So the American citizen families, they don't care about. But if an illegal immigrant has a family, then it's like, oh my God, we have to have so much compassion. We have to be a bleeding heart. Why won't you be a bleeding heart for Americans? The only thing he keeps saying is they have families. Americans have families. Who's going to pick the fruit? Oh, Americans will do it. No, they're too lazy. You know what I mean? So he has all of this disparaging things to say about Americans. But hey, this is what I call immigrant exceptionalism, right? Where they try to glaze and praise, what I call GAP. They glazing and praising immigrants. And this is not against immigrants. Some of the finest people I know come from an immigrant background. So this isn't about that. This is about the weaponization of the immigration process and to desensitize you to a replace and displacement of a particular demographic. All the people that are championing open borders and stuff, they're not getting an influx of tens of thousands of immigrants in their neighborhood. And if they do, they start complaining. I can pull up videos of immigrants in New York. New York is just like the Mecca for immigrants. Many of these people could barely speak English, but they speak English good enough to say that they don't want an influx of immigrants there. So you got Chinese people, Chinese immigrants saying, hey, we don't want a bunch of immigrants here. No one is calling them xenophobic. They're just saying, oh, well, it makes sense. Let them have Chinatown. Last time I checked, this isn't America. This is America, not China. Right. So we should, be accommodating for Chinese people to make Chinatown and for Koreans to make Koreatown and Cubans to make Little Havana and stuff like that. Right. We should be more accommodating for them to be transplants. But then when you're talking about Americans and Americans seeking a better life, it turns into shut up, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, stop begging. Why you got a victim mentality? Why are y'all begging the government? Right. But aren't these people coming over here with a victim mentality? I'm seeking asylum. Oh, so you're a victim, right? Saying that you seek an asylum is saying that you've been victimized. If you've been victimized, how don't you have a victim mentality? Or are you telling me these people have been victimized, but they have a heroic mentality? How? If they were so heroic, why didn't they stay and fight? They didn't fight. They fled. And we're supposed to see this as some act of courage. because they're seeking a better life. Well, my family was seeking a better life here, getting their heads bashed in, getting dog sicked on them. My family was seeking a better life, and it was just shut up, nigger. Get more dog sicked on you. So what if your family got lynched? Okay, fine. No one cares that my family got lynched. No one cares about the mass incarceration. No one cares about sharecropping, debt peonage, or anything like that. So I don't care that you're seeking asylum. I don't care that you had to flee gang violence. It's unfortunate, and I don't want it to be like that, but I have to match the same energy, keep the same energy, and apply the same logic. They don't care about they talk about Chirac. What about Chicago, right? There's nowhere that my family could flee from gangs. There's gangs in Oakland, nowhere for my family to flee. There's gangs in Chicago, nowhere for my family to flee. But I'm supposed to care about someone in Bogota fleeing gang violence. Someone is fleeing gang violence from cartel members in Tijuana, and I'm supposed to care about it? Okay, nah, hold your own nuts. Y'all don't care, and I don't care. Same energy. We don't even gotta, it don't have to be contentious. You don't give a flip what goes on with us, and I don't give a fig Newton what goes on with your community. Let's just leave it like that.
They speak English. Their kids speak perfect English. They've been here forever.
What should be in the country illegally to exploit their labor? That's what I'm saying,
have been
right?
Here 20, 30 years. They got families. You can call them illegal, but they're part of it. They speak English. Their kids speak perfect English. They've been here forever.
What should the punishment be for entering the country illegally?
Well, right now it's zero. What's coming into our country right now? The people that are here, we should look at them, see what they've done, see if
that's only because Donald Trump is president. The new position from Democrats has largely been open borders. So again, I ask you, what should the punishment be?
One is because he did campaign on that strictly. I wish he would be honest with us about everything. Did you hear what he said the other day? He said,
let's not shift topics just yet.
No, I'm not. Did you hear what he said? He says, I think we should not bust the workers that are farm workers, because I've been getting a lot of complaints.
A lot of heat. Yeah.
And then
I disagree with that.
Yeah, well, if you do that, no one's going to pick the fruit that's going to rot on the trees.
They don't need to be illegal. You're not telling me why they need to be illegal immigrants. Immigrants.
That's his whole thing. Who's going to pick the fruit? Who's going to do the dirty jobs? Whites are too lazy. This is what the dude keeps saying. This is what this old white dude, he's being very discriminatory towards people. Let's just leave it at white people, because that's who we keep saying. White people are too lazy, so we need a bunch of undocumented immigrants to pick the fruit. And when they came over here, many of them were dropped in New York. There's no fruit being picked in New York. Many of them got dropped off in Chicago. There's no fruit being picked in Chicago. Many of them got dropped off in Philadelphia. There's no fruit being picked in Philadelphia. So this whole who's going to pick the fruit? Okay, I understand if you're saying that in California and Texas, and even then they have a lot of automated machinery that's picking the fruit way faster than any undocumented immigrant can, right? But this is his whole thing. Who's going to pick the fruit? And then let's just say that they are picking the fruit, right? Do you think that those people are coming over here to have 2 kids, 5 kids, 6 kids, so that their kids can be relegated to picking fruit? So this whole who's going to do the jobs? Okay, that's only one generation. If Miguel comes over here to pick fruit and he has 3 or 4 kids, he's going to work his tail off to make sure that his kids are not in that field picking fruit. So since he has kids, they're not going to pick fruit, then guess what? They're going to have a non-stop cycle of undocumented immigrants with the same spiel. Who's going to pick the fruits? This is rather pathetic, right?
Immigrants can take their place to come in illegally.
We don't have any kind of.
Yes, we do.
If you do that, no one's going to pick the fruit that's going to rot on the trees.
They don't need to be illegal. You're not telling me why they need to be illegal. Immigrants can take their place to come in illegally.
We don't have any kind of.
Yes, we do.
No, we don't.
And since they love immigrants so much, immigrants could pick the fruit, since he's, basically reserving the picking fruit for immigrants. They have immigrants on work visas. They come over here, pick the fruit, and then go back home. Many of them have seasonal work visas. They live here for 3 months, 6 months, pick the fruit, and go back home. Many of them are okay with that because the American dollar stretches way further in their homeland. They can live like kings and queens by picking fruit here and going back to their homeland. This dude isn't advocating for that. He's saying that Americans, white Americans, are too lazy to do the dirty job. So we need an influx of undocumented immigrants to pick the fruit. Notice he keeps emphasizing picking fruit. Is that all these immigrants are good for? We know that the majority of immigrants that come here aren't picking fruit. But why is this always their go-to? Who's gonna pick the fruit? Not most immigrants. So I don't even know why you're saying that.
Don't want anybody to come in this country right now. I have my wife's Filipino, and a lot of people that try to come in the country.
There it is. His wife's Filipino, which nothing wrong with that. Love Filipinos, but many of these people, because they have an immigrant family member, then they start being a very bleeding heart, compassionate for immigrants because it hits home to them. But some Black American being abused, that doesn't hit home for them, right? They expect us to be treated that way, but they don't expect undocumented immigrants to be treated inhumanely, right? So they start bleeding. Oh my God, look at what ICE is doing. ICE is the Gestapo. No, they're not. And guess what? They try to frame ICE as Nazis. Guess who were cozy with the Nazis? Americans. Guess who helped train and influence many Nazis? Americans. So how are Nazis so bad? How are Nazis so much worse than anyone in America, right? People were cordial and friendly with Adolf, the dude with the thick mustache. Americans, there was an American Nazi party. Now they want to frame, like, if somebody said, hey, we're going to create an American reparations party, people would be incensed, right? But there was an American Nazi party which was allowed to flourish and thrive. You know what I mean? And people want to erase this from the history. They want to pretend as if Nazis are bad. Okay, they are bad. But why was there an American Nazi party, right? We try to pretend as if this was just ages ago. No, it happened in your lifetime. Why isn't it being talked about? They talk more about hieroglyphics and Egyptology than the American Nazi Party. ICE is like the Gestapo of the American Nazi Party. Is that what you mean?
It takes forever to get in this country.
You're right. Why should it be easy?
It shouldn't be easy, but it shouldn't take forever. Right?
So he's saying it takes forever to get in this country. Well, it takes forever to get rich. It takes forever to earn a lot of money. So he's advocating for someone to come in the country by illegal means because it takes forever. These are the same people who are talking about tough on crime. This is a nation of laws. You do the crime, you do the time. But here he is advocating for breaking the law because it takes too long to get into the country legally. Well, guess what? It takes too long to get money legally. So I had to sell a little some on the side so I can get quick money to pay for my bills. Shut up. You do the crime, you do the time. I should be locked up for engaging in the informal economy to get a little bit of pocket change, right? That would be seen as, hey, this is detrimental to society. We need to lock him up, right? But these people over here, knowing that they're coming in illegally, but just because the legal process takes too long, we should be okay with them. This is the double standards when it comes to criminality, right? Hey, if you do a minute crime, hey, it's okay because, you're just trying to provide for your family. But if you're an American and I'm slanging a little bit of something on the side, this ain't to be cool. This ain't so I can be a gangster. This is so I can put food on my family's table. And they don't care. You do the crime, you do the time. Fine, we have to keep the same energy. This is a nation of laws. You do the crime, you do the time. And what Trump admin is saying, hey, you came in here illegally. So what you need to do is go back home. You need to self-deport and then come back in the legal process. Why aren't we all champion for that? People are trying to champion for a legal entry in the name of who's gonna pick the fruit. Okay.
Maybe
if it takes forever, you're not going to have. And a lot of people that try to come into the country, it takes forever to get in this country.
You're right. Why should it be easy?
It shouldn't be easy, but it shouldn't take forever. Right?
Maybe
if it takes forever, you're not going to have anybody here to work because you're deporting everybody.
Yeah, well, we have enough crises going on in the United States right now to where those probably.
Now he's lying, talking about Trump is deporting everybody. Trump's deportation numbers have been abysmal. No, there are no mass deportations going on. There's controversial deportations. There's sensational deportations. There's no mass deportations going on. And like Sunlight says, the crime doesn't matter. It's just who's doing it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, they don't care about people selling weed. They care about black people selling weed. A black person selling an eighth of weed, he's dangerous and he broke the law. Then they changed the law and now they're selling metric tons. But that black dude who sold an eighth is still demonized, and the people who are selling metric tons of weed are praised. Hey, they're just doing it legally and they have a family. Yeah, so did that black dude who was selling an eighth. He had a family and he was just trying to get a little bit of crumbs on the table for his family, but you didn't care. You locked him up. Now, this is just gonna be some more babble of him whining about who's gonna pick the fruit. So y'all get the point. We got people like Kenny in the chat saying that illegal immigration stagnates wages. That's a right-wing lie, right? Okay, fine. What is the benefit to the black community for illegal immigration? Kenny has yet to answer. All he could say is, I grew up around a bunch of blacks. Yeah, you grew up around a bunch of blacks and now they're displaced because you wanted open borders, Kenny. But I'm going to get into this other story, right? So let me go ahead and pull this down. This next story I'm going to get into is about these disgusting people who still just won't let the brother MJ rest in peace. Right. They're slandering him again. And this time, the allegations are rather disturbing. So let's get into this, right? This is going to be about MJ because he has his movie, his biopic that's currently in the theaters, killing the box office. So people are trying to come out and make these disgusting allegations. So let's get into it. This is a video from Redacted and it's titled, They're Trying to Destroy Micheal Jackson Again. Let's get into it.
Of accusers of Micheal Jackson are being paraded across the media right on the heels of the massive success of the biopic Micheal. Now, over the weekend, 60 Minutes Australia published this hour-long piece about a group of siblings saying that Micheal Jackson abused them for years. This is how sensational it gets. At one point, one of the siblings says that Jackson drank his urine, said, I love you so much, I'm going to drink your pee.
Come on.
To show you how much I love you. He says it.
I think we're stupid.
He says those things. I chose not to bring the clip. Now, can anyone prove that these are false? Well, Micheal Jackson maybe could, but he's.
So here we go again. So now these maniacs are saying that Micheal Jackson was just this sick individual. He loved these kids so much that he said, here, pee in a cup and I'm going to drink your pee because I want to profess my love to you, kid. And he start guzzling pee. Okay, fine. How much pee did he drink? Was it 8 ounces of pee? Was it 32 ounces? Did he drink a gallon of pee? Now, I'm being facetious, but this does sound rather disgusting. And if he was such this pee drinking, person, why didn't they say this when he was still alive? And, he's not here to defend himself. And then when he passed, and then his movie is creating millions and millions of sales at the box office, then suddenly they come with this slanderous, disgusting, salacious allegation. And many people believe it just because they hate MJ. But where's the proof that he was having kids pee in a cup and drink it? It's just, trust me, bro.
Dead, so he's not here to defend himself. Micheal Jackson abused them for years. This is how sensational it gets. At one point, one of the siblings says that Jackson drank his urine, said, I love you so much, I'm going to drink your pee.
Come on.
To show you how much I love you. He says it.
I think we're stupid.
he says those things. I chose not to bring the clip. Now, can anyone prove that these are false? Well, Michael Jackson maybe could, but he's dead, so he's not here to defend himself. The Casio siblings don't provide any proof other than their own word, but their credibility and their financial conflict of interest is worth serious consideration, and which is why we should exercise extreme caution when we hear this. Unfortunately, the media pieces, both the New York Times and 60 Minutes Australia and various other sources, do not give you these caveats about their credibility. So I'm going to. Now, before we do this, I'm going to tell you what my mindset is in reporting this. Number one, every single Michael Jackson accuser, since he started being accused of sexual abuse of children in the 90s, was riddled with financial credibility issues. They had financial conflicts of interest, and they had major credibility issues. Jackson's civil rights were severely trampled on in his 2005 trial in a way that should scare all of us. His legal team was raided by police, which is illegal. You are supposed to have lawyer privilege, attorney-client privilege. An arrest warrant was issued on the same day that the search warrant was issued on his house, meaning they had presumed his guilt and put out for his arrest before they had even found even one piece of evidence. Now, dead or alive, as an American, his rights are to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. No one has ever proven his guilt in a court of law. And the timing of this litigation is successful. If it is successful, would be very profitable for his accusers.
So like she said, no one has proven Michael's guilt in court. However, they're making all sorts of sick documentaries about him, dragging him through the mud. People are trying to allege that he touched all of these kids and stuff like that. And it just doesn't even make any sense at all, right? If people had suspected that he was just this sick pedo perv, why the hell would you be leaving your kids with Michael Jackson alone? I mean, even right now, if there's a celebrity, right? If you say, hey, I like LeBron James, or I like Leonardo DiCaprio, or just fill in random celebrity, Brad Pitt, name any celebrity, and you say, hey, look, man, I love these celebrities enough to leave my kids over there. Like, it doesn't really make any sense, right? So it seems like they just set him up for these accusations. You had people that came out that said, hey, Michael Jackson was cool, bro, never touched me like that. Macaulay Culkin and other people were saying that, no, he wasn't this disgusting pedo perv that they paint him out to be. But he's been drugged through the mud. You know, there were a lot of people in the J community that drug Mike through the mud. There were a lot of people in the Lily W dominant society that drug him through the mud, all because he stood on business, all because he was an astute businessman and he didn't take no for an answer, right? So just because he wouldn't play ball with him, then suddenly all of these slanderous, disgusting allegations came out. And this is probably one of the most disgusting ones, that he loved some kids so much that he would have them pee in a cup and he drank his pee to profess his love. There's no proof of that. Just trust me, bro, from a deranged sycophant.
Who they say are just trying to do this to help other victims. It's interesting that the timing of these allegations coincides with the massive success of not just the Michael biopic, which is making millions for the estate, but also the fact that his music is charting again in billboards. The Cirque du Soleil show made a ton of money and continues to do so, and so does MJ the Musical, all of which are owned by the estate. Now, the media has never accurately reported on Jackson's sexual abuse claims. They always leave out the financial conflicts of interest of the witnesses and the accusers. During the 2005 trial, the accusers would repeat these salacious sexual details, and the press would run outside to report it to their cameras, never hearing Jackson's own attorney destroy the credibility in their cross-examination. So these are all things we need to consider. It's with that eye that I present to you these new claims. Here are the Casio siblings. One of them is missing for a reason, their brother Frank, and we'll get to why in a minute. Now, they are among a group of people who say that after the Leaving Neverland documentary that was on HBO in 2019, they suddenly remembered being abused by Michael Jackson. Now, this show is so full of holes that I can't even go through them.
So when she says this show is full of holes, what she means is they're full of lies. And now after this disgusting propaganda piece of the Neverland documentary, then suddenly these kids were saying, oops, you know what? I was abused too. So they said that they, basically watching the documentary triggered some PTSD, right? They were watching this documentary and then they was like, oh, now that I think about it, Mike abused me too. Remember when he used to have us pee in a cup and then he would drink the pee? And then he said, hey, I'm drinking this pee because I love you little kids. Come on, man. This shit sounds disgusting. Right out of a satire movie, right? But this is what they want you to believe. Michael Jackson was going around having kids pee in the cup so he can drink it like a Capri Sun. Rather disgusting.
One by one, but I'm going to just sort of summarize a few inconsistencies that you would think if you were close friends with Michael Jackson, they should have recognized right away, not like, oh, well, if this is true, then I was abused too. First off, the two main victims of the movie, Wade Robson and James Safechuck, both were adamant defenders of Michael Jackson, both in 1993 and in 2005 when he was accused twice. They were vehemently against all of these allegations. They said, no way Michael did this. He couldn't have done it. We know him really well. Absolutely not. They were vocal and vehement. So were the Cassios. And in fact, Robson was the first witness who was called during the 2005 trial because Jackson's lawyer thought that his testimony was so strong. Now, Robson says that he just suddenly remembered as an adult that he had been abused as a child, which is possible, I guess, but it didn't happen until after he'd been paid to dance behind Janet, that's him right there, in a 2009 VMA tribute to Michael Jackson, or after he'd pitched tribute shows to all the dance shows on the major networks with himself as the choreographer, or after he applied to be a dancer on the Michael Jackson Cirque du Soleil tour. So he went out there to try and get all this money-making opportunity around his relationship to Michael Jackson. And then when all of that dried up, he suddenly remembered that he was accused by Jackson.
Yeah, that's extremely delusional, deranged, and disgusting. He was around the Jackson family. He was reaping the benefits of being the Jackson sycophant, and then he turned into a Jackson psychopath. He was yucking it up with the family, and then suddenly his money dried up, and then he said, oh, you know what? I forgot something. I used to pee in a cup, and Michael used to drink it to profess his love. Huh? This don't even make any sense, bro. But you're supposed to believe it just because it's done in 4K with the propagandist production team. Let's get back into it, though.
Now, the film leaves all of those things out. It also has Robson saying that he had discouraged me from trying to get close to girls because Jackson loved me so much. He was, possessive of me. Well, it leaves out the fact that Michael Jackson set him up with his niece, Brandy. They dated for 7 years, for most of their teens, until he cheated on her with Britney Spears. Why do you think the film would leave that out? That's kind of interesting and relevant, don't you think?
Right. Yeah, he's he's heterosexual, and I set him up with my niece, and he's been dating her for 7 years.
Right.
Like, okay.
And reportedly...
Leave it out of the movie.
And I'm no Britney Spears expert, but reportedly Robson is the one who she cheated on Justin Timberlake with, although I think that's contested. I don't care about Britney and Justin. Someone else research that. The other accuser is named James Safechuck. He claims that he was abused in Neverland Castle, the train station, and the teepees that are on the premises in 1990. Those things were not built in 1990. Jackson didn't even contract an architect until 1990. The train station wasn't finished until 1994. Surely this dummy would have fact-checked those things before he brought that to his litigation or to a documentary. But okay, he insinuates that by 1994, Jackson had already moved on to other people. So he could not have ever been assaulted in the train station. This film is full of holes like that. You would think the Casios, who claim to have been really close friends with Michael Jackson, would have recognized this immediately. But instead, they said, oh, it jogged our memory all at the same time, all of us siblings, that we were victims. Now, while Michael Jackson was alive, again, the Casios defended him to the bitter end, and they profited handsomely from doing so. Jackson died in 2009. The next year, Michael Jackson items that were owned by the Casios appeared for big money on eBay. And then in that same year, the Casios claimed that they had unreleased music of Michael Jackson that they sold to Sony. They said Michael Jackson came to our house and recorded these in the basement, and they sold them to Sony, and Sony started putting them out. The problem is they were faked. We don't know how much they made from this, but we assume that it's millions, if not billions. It was a fan that recognized this is not Michael Jackson. The fan sued Sony. The Casios were dragged into litigation, but Sony settled the lawsuit. And the Casios were never actually held to account for having sold
Okay, so I had to join on my phone because my Wi-Fi is kind of acting up right now. So shout out to Sunlight. Yeah, I know, Red Six, it was no sound. That's because my Wi-Fi went out, so I'm probably gonna have to shut the stream down. But I think this has been a fruitful hour or something, and I'll probably come back. Usually at this time, hold on, let me see. I think it went back on, so give me 1 second. Otherwise, I'm gonna try to do this other story and just kind of breeze through that. But it looks like my Wi-Fi is kind of tripping out. But let me say, Sunlight says, sinners came too late for a lot of people. Don't ever let them in. I would concur. So it looks like the Wi-Fi is back. So I'm going to try to breeze through this last story, and then I'm probably gonna shut it down just because the Wi-Fi is kind of geeking up right now. But I do appreciate y'all. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world. Y'all chose to be here with me, at least momentarily, and for that, I thank you. Could you hear me? You said what happened? What happened was my Wi-Fi went out. But hold on. Give me one moment. All right, here you go. So yeah, my Wi-Fi went out. So that's why I had to use my phone. So I'm gonna try to breeze through this other story. That story was already coming to its end. But as you can see, Michael Jackson is subject to the attacks of the dominant society, lying, saying that he used to have kids pee in a cup and drink it. It is rather disgusting. But I'm gonna try to breeze through this other story. If my Wi-Fi shuts down again, I'm just going to hop on my phone and shut the stream down. So I'm going to try to breeze through this other story real quick. Just give me one moment. And y'all let me know if y'all have any issues hearing me now. So let me pull this story up. And this story was inspired by the story I did the other day. And Roger Meadows wanted me to elaborate a little bit more. Because Kevin O'Leary or Kevin O'Looney was lying, talking about that, we need these AI data centers. Otherwise, China's going to catch up. But China has been way ahead of us in the data AI race. And shout out to the 504 boy, Wody, New Orleans, in building. Salute to Braxton. We're going to get right into it. Give me uno momento. And this is a video by The Breaking Points. It's called Fox News Shocked by China Tech's Advantage. So I'm going to kind of breeze through this a little bit because my Wi-Fi is kind of tripping. Thanks, Sunlight. She gave the thumbs up so she can hear me clearly now. Let's get into it, right? People are trying to pretend as if, we're leading in the AI race. We're leading in the technological advancements. Now, we are a superpower. However, we are behind China in terms of technological advancements. You don't believe me? Let's commence.
The biggest outcome of this meeting is going to be a lot of Fox News grandmas realizing just how behind we are technologically, how much more advanced China is at this point, because Brett Baer is there on the ground doing all this on the ground reporting. One of the big things, they made a big deal about the fact they illegally parked for 2 minutes and got a ticket right away, which, for the law and order people, they should be happy about that, right?
Dream. That's my dream.
I knew you would like that.
Yeah.
If Palantir was doing it here, they'd be celebrating this marvel of efficiency. But since it's China, it's the authoritarianism.
That is my dream, is to ticket these illegal parkers, red light runners. Some kid rang my doorbell the other day with no soliciting. I'm like, this motherfucker. I was like,
funny.
Okay.
Such a crotchety old man. But in any case, he also went to one of these just little, you said this is sort of like a 7-Eleven competitors. Yeah. And they have the humanoid autonomous robots there that are serving the goods. And so this was all, broadcast to Fox News audience. This is A10. Let's go ahead and take a look at this from Brett Baer.
Our food order to a very special worker. This is the Family Mart convenience store in Beijing. Inside is a Galbot robot. The dominance of AI. Beijing is trying to lead the way in AI and also in humanoid robots. Let's go inside. This is the first of its kind for this kind of interaction. If you want to order something, hello, can I get a sausage, please?
Okay. 烤肠, 8.8 yuan.
This is the first of its kind, moving a little slow, but Galbot is actually in 50 different pharmacies, warehouses, handling 300,000 orders around the country. This is the first of its kind here, and they say there are going to be many different iterations. The question is, it's the same thing that the U.S. is dealing with. Will this replace human workers?
So
pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean, this is an area where they're decidedly ahead of us on the humanoid robot front. And, my understanding in terms of the attitude towards the population in China versus here on technology, they're much more enthusiastic in China. There's not the same level of reticence because here we see the way that, these AI oligarchs are trying to screw us and bragging about how they're going to take all our jobs,
They just have a different social contract.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
That's exactly right. And they have really focused on a very different AI strategy too, where yes, they're trying to be at the leading edge, and DeepSeek has been very successful in other models as well, and much more efficiently. It doesn't require the vast amounts of compute and electricity and water and everything that ours is just this sort of brute force approach. But they've also focused a lot on how do we integrate the technology that we have right now into practical uses so that this is actually being deployed and is not just some pie in the sky investment for the future for some future prospect. So in any case, like I said, this is basically what Pate predicted with us yesterday. He's like, what's going to come out of this is all of these reporters and politicians are going to go. They're going to see the gleaming electric vehicles. They're going to see modern cities. They're going to see advanced technology, and they're going to be floored by it. And the American public, which has been so propagandized about China or any of our adversaries, will also see some of this on their television sets of like, oh, it's not the US that's leading the world on every technological front at this point. You go into these cities and you are seeing things that we do not have here. That is a very different dynamic than what most Americans have in their mind about China.
It's very true. And okay, so Family Mart. I mean, if you've never been, so it's a Japanese company, Family Mart. It's kind of like 7-Eleven if you've ever been there. I mean, I just want people to take a look. It's clean. It's nice. There's no there's no coffee stains that are anywhere. When you order, you get what you want. They don't need a security guard. The idea that anybody would steal is preposterous, right? It's like ludicrous that somebody would try to steal from something like that. And if they do, they're going to get caught instantly. Now, there's a very different social contract. Like I was saying earlier, everybody there acquiesces to an immense amount of digital surveillance. So you were talking about the immediate ticketing that's happening. That's just like the tip of the iceberg. The ability to cross the street, your face is all being scanned. People make a big deal about social credit, but it actually goes much deeper than that. Like the ability to transit even inside of the country, your ability to move between cities, like that's all pretty restricted, or at the very least, like you need permission from somebody. Most Americans would have no ability to acquiesce to that. They have a different culture than ours. A lot of the current people who are alive, their generation, they came from the chaos of the Cultural Revolution. And then imagine what their grandparents and others people had to live through: genuine poverty, civil war, Japanese World War II, like immense death and famine. So for them, like order is the thing that must be preserved above all costs, because they have lived. I mean, do you know anybody who died in a famine? No. Over there, you probably knows at least somebody who has a relative who did, or who was displaced through mass collectivization, or who was bayoneted by a Japanese soldier, or by a CCP soldier, or by a KMT soldier, something like that. Their country has been was in chaos from the year, I don't know, 19, even earlier, maybe the 18.
China. They have been the primary driver of lifting people out of poverty over the past several decades. So, that also changes the way you think about these men. If you're like, well, they're delivering on these fronts, so okay,
And look, I mean,
dealing with getting a parking ticket, I can deal with that. I'm not talking about Tiananmen Square.
So to be clear, China is one of the most anti-Black places on the planet. However, it's one of the most innovative places on the planet as well. So as much as people like to say that the communism is bad, well, you know what? They have less impoverished people over in China, and they have over 1 billion people over there, right? When you look at certain things like electric cars, people want to buy a Tesla. Why? I mean, it's ran by some bigoted stooge, but let's just talk about performance, right? Quality over quantity. The Chinese electric cars are better than Teslas and cheaper than Teslas. Their AI models are either better or as good, and usually cheaper or free. When you look at all of these goods and manufacturing, things that we used to make here, they're all made in China. And they tried to convince you that China is this big, bad boogeyman. But at the same time, they pretend as if we're ahead of China. How could we be ahead of China when we're basically allowing their economy to flourish at the expense of American citizens, right? And then it's the same argument of who's going to pick the fruit, right? Well, if we have American manufacturing, things are going to go through the roof. And you know what? That's okay, because we consume too much anyways as Americans. Right? You don't need a new cell phone every year. You know what I mean? You don't need a new TV every year because it's Black Friday, right? So we could be better at, like he's talking about, the social contract, China's social contract, because China has mostly Chinese people who look the same. Yeah, they have other cultures and other mixtures there, but the predominant ethnic and racial makeup is going to be Chinese. So they don't mind doing that much more for their citizens. In America, it's framed as we're all Americans. Drop the hyphens. Why are you calling yourself Chinese American, African American? We're all Americans and we don't see color. But you do see color, which is why you lived in a segregated enclave where there's no black people around you. Chinese people don't have to worry about living in segregated enclaves because all the people around them are Chinese. And the people who are not ethnically Chinese, they're living under the social contract that has mass surveillance. They know that if you have drugs, you can get the death penalty. They know if you commit crime, you will be sentenced harshly. So a lot of people are like, well, we don't even really need to do crime. And on top of that, if they're having a better quality of life, why would they need to do crime? Most crime is economic based. So if they're, out of poverty, why would they need to be committing crime? Most of the people are not committing crime for the joys of clicking their heels and say, oh, I committed a crime. They're committing a crime to get economic gain. So if you keep more people gainfully employed, if you have more people integrated into society economically, then there will be less crime. There will be more baby making because people will have money to take women out on dates, to afford apartments. And they can invite the woman over to the apartment so they can bump uglies and get it on. But if people don't have the money, then there's things called the diseases of despair, where people turn into self-deletion. They start drowning their problems in a bottle, in pills, in OnlyFans and things like that, right? There's a reason why these things are blocked in China, right? But we keep saying China is our enemy. Well, why won't we learn from our enemies, right? Even your enemy can do some things right. And China is doing a lot of things right. If they were so bad, then why did Trump say he wants an influx of 600,000 Chinese students, right? If they're so bad, why would he want to invite the enemy's kids over here? Fair questions to ask. Now, I'm just going to play a couple more minutes of this and then I'm going to get ready to shut her down. But like I said, China is well ahead in the AI race. It's not even a contest right now.
Or whatever.
You're totally right. And that's where, look, I mean, this is where it's complicated. We did pay for most of that. A lot of that came at the expense of us. And that's why the Trump 2016 campaign was so invigorating to be like, because he was the first person to say, we paid for this. Like, because, that neoliberal talking point was the one that we would hear all the time. Oh, well, global poverty has gone down. It's like, yeah, but we're poorer. They're the ones who are richer, not us. But what we want, I think at this point, we've lived through this idea that China was like some backward state. And I'm being honest, like I remember, so my first year of professional politics was 2015. Mm-hmm. That is when the Made in China 2025 plan came out. We scoffed at it. There were commissions here in Washington. What a joke. All of it came true. All of it came true.
Yeah.
And actually a lot more than it came true. Yeah. Then 2020 happened. Remember, we would talk to Peter Zeihan and others. People predicted demographic collapse, and there's some of that. Or, commercial real estate. And listen, it's a country of 1.4 billion. So to say that they don't have problems is ludicrous. Mm-hmm. Like they have plenty of problems on the intern. But we're saying from our perspective, to see the life of the average citizen, especially the more upwardly mobile ones, if you were to call it the Chinese dream, they can generally own a home. Yes, there's a crazy commercial real estate market, but their day-to-day life, it's not so bad. And I would just say, like, ours, it's bad. Like we covered yesterday, people are working more hours for less pay, high gas prices. In terms of your consumer experience, what's the last revolutionary product that you bought? For me, it was probably iPhone 4. Remember, 2010? It was 16 years ago. All right. Actually, I have a Tesla. That's pretty cool. So Tesla too. So I don't know. That came out. When did it come out? Like 10 years ago, the Tesla Model 3?
Yeah, but I mean, even that's a great example because they're kicking our ass in EVs. Right. So, like they've surpassed Tesla in terms of what they can do.
If you look at the past 10 years for them, you've got Greely, you've got Xiaomi, you've got Tesla, you've got BYD, you have WeChat, you have HandPay, you have the high-speed rail going 300 miles per hour. And then I'm not even talking about all these crazy infrastructure projects where imagine in the hinterlands of the United States, like some backwards-ass town in Nebraska, getting brand new bridges and beautification and people coming from Washington being like, look at what we're doing for you. I mean, it's easy to criticize as a dog and pony show and some of it is more shoddily built. I'll grant you that, but we're not even trying over here, okay? They've just got rust in the middle out there.
The story in most of our country is year after year degradation and decline. Yeah. Cities that were like, for people who are older, who they can remember what, maybe Detroit was in its heyday.
Yeah, I've only seen pictures.
Yeah, right. we see, and Detroit is doing a little bit better than it was at its worst. But so I'm not trying to trash Detroit here, but you can see what our cities were and all of our infrastructure. You fly into an airport here, it looks shitty, right? You get
Except
on a
for New
train,
York,
you're gonna have problems. Yeah, I mean it's you go around this country and mostly what you see is decline. And for Chinese people, they go around their country, most of what they see is improvement.
Yeah.
They see, and that comes at certain costs as well, but you see a lot of change and positive improvement. To your point about, them even surpassing like the made in China expectations. If we could put A5 up on the screen, this was, I saw this from Arnaud's feed. He retweeted this. He says, one of the most consequential charts, in my opinion, China will go from being almost completely reliant on chips from external sources to almost completely self-sufficient in just 10 years. So one of the things that, we've really held on to is like, okay, well, we have the premier chips technology. And so we're going to sort of marshal our resources there. We're going to limit how many chips go. And there's still a lot of,
So we were hanging our hats on us having the superior chip technology, but superior chip technology created where? Not in America, in Taiwan, in China, in India, in some other place outside of America, right? So again, these people that are framing that China is this backward state and that, America is so great, which it is, but don't get disillusioned and think America is so great that no other place could be a superpower. No other place could dominate. China is dominating America in many aspects. And Red 6 says maybe if they spend less time making sure black people didn't benefit from those things, we would have it. Correct. She brought up Detroit and talked about how Detroit looks now. The reason why is because there was white flight. And when Detroit became a majority black city, then they said, we don't care. We'll let that city fall to sugar, honey, iced tea. And this is what I talked about with the homogeny, right? In Japan and China, right? Most of the Chinese people look like each other, which is why they don't mind helping each other. Yeah, there will be other racial, ethnic minorities sprinkled in there, but the majority of the billions of people are going to be Chinese. So they don't mind helping other Chinese. But in America, they want to say, hey, we'll help other Americans if they have the complexion for the protection. They don't look at Detroit and say, hey, Detroit is a place full of Americans. Let's help an American city. They say Detroit is full of blacks. Let those blacks eat cake. Let those niggers figure it out, right? That's what it turns into. Is the whole people who say, I don't see color. Why do you got to make it about race? Well, go to Detroit and you shouldn't see color and you shouldn't make it about race. You should want to uplift, enfranchise, and enrich the people in Detroit. But they don't want to do it because those people don't have the complexion for their protection. And they are trying to attempt to compete with Chinese people who see their people as one people. They always talk about China as repressing their people, right? And maybe they are. But if you're repressing your people as well, who are you to wag your finger at Chinese people, right? It's like some domestic abuser saying, that dude beats his wife. And yeah, dude, you beat your wife, strangle your wife, kick your wife. How are you any different? So let's play a little bit more of this.
Dispute and debate over how much to sell chips to China, et cetera. And so while we were trying to withhold this technology, especially under the Biden administration, they're like, all right, well, we're going to really push developing our own. And our AI products are going to really focus on what they can do with chips that we produce here domestically. And so on a number of fronts, the thought with China previously in the past was always, oh, well, they can copy what we can do, but they're never going to be leading edge on anything. And that is just not the case anymore. And
America sold out its technology to China. Remember, Trump was whining, they're stealing our technology. They don't have to steal it. Your open borders allowed Chinese people to cross the border illegally. There are many Chinese citizens who weren't seeking asylum, who were well off, but they crossed the border illegally under Biden's open border policy. We already have a bunch of foreign exchange Chinese students. We already have Chinese H-1B visas, even though most of them come from India, right? So if we are supposed to be the best in technological advancement, which we're not, then we hire over a bunch of these foreign students who train here, which we call the most prestigious universities in all of the land. We let a bunch of Chinese people come over here and go to our renowned, world-renowned institutions. The thing is, you can't really go over to theirs in large numbers and be enrolled in their schools, right? We let Chinese people buy millions of acres of land here. But guess what? You can't buy any farmland in China. How is this making America great again? So Red 6 says they tried pushing us out, but eventually the pendulum swung back and it started to hit them. Yeah, the hope open borders was to replace and displace us. And now they're the ones saying they took our jobs. It's like, okay, if they did take your jobs, who allowed it to happen, right? It was people in your community. But like I said, I'm about to get up out of here. So let me just show y'all a couple more visuals, right? Because this is all about the scholarship. Y'all can see the screen. China dominates global manufacturing, approximately 30% of the total output, while the United States accounts for around 16 to 18%. And these are the metrics as of 2022. China accounted for about 30% of the global manufacturing output, with a total value exceeding 4.8 trillion. Now, this makes China the largest manufacturer in the world, often referred to as the world's factory due to its extensive industrial base and cost advantages. So they're leading in manufacturing, but we want to believe, but we're beating them in the AI race. How? They're leading in manufacturing, which means they're leading in technological advancement to be able to output this much product into the globe. Now, people can say that they're repressing their people to do it. They have slave shops, and yeah, that may be true, but no one cares about slave shops. Unfortunately, people care about it rhetorically, but practically, no. Because when people say, hey, look at those shoes, that was made in a Chinese sweatshop. They like, yeah, but they look good on my feet, though. When you look at all these Gucci and these Birkin bags and stuff, where do you think they're made at? People don't get a Birkin bag and say, dang, how many kids were beaten for this? How many Chinese kids or how many Congolese kids had to go into a cobalt mine and risk their health for this? People don't care. They just want a fat diamond in a Birkin bag. The U.S. contributes approximately 16 to 18% of the global manufacturing output, valued at around 2.8 trillion. So Chinese people are doubling the output. Global manufacturing share, 30% of global manufacturing for China, 16 to 18% of global manufacturing, just like I said, right? So the manufacturing landscape shows a significant disparity between China and the United States, with China leading in both total output and global market share. The U.S. remains competitive in high-tech sectors, but overall, China's manufacturing capabilities far exceed those in the U.S. in terms of volume and value. This dynamic continues to shape the global trade and economic policies. So yes, China is eating our lunch. And guess who allowed it to happen? It wasn't George Floyd. It wasn't BLM. It wasn't black on black crime. It was people in the dominant society who look like you. And I'm going to play one more thing that I'm going to breeze through just so we can see how advanced China's technology is. So I'm going to fast forward through some of these, but these are all Chinese technology. Far superior than things that you're seeing. Do any of your malls look like this? And if they do, how many malls? What structure do we have that look like this? China is repressing their people. Okay, fine. Which is not okay. It's not fine. But if they're repressing their people, at least their people get to enjoy this. Our people are being repressed and we got rusty, dusty buildings that are falling apart. And this is what the China infrastructure looks like. This is the China infrastructure. This is a supercomputing AI center, right? I mean, does it really look like we're leading China in technology and infrastructure? Name one US city that you can go to that looks like this. Don't worry, I'll wait. Look at this road. Look at these infrastructure. And these are very, dangerous, treacherous terrain for them to be building bridges and stuff. But you know what? They were able to do it because they're invested in their people. And they want to convince you that, no, China isn't a superpower. We're the superpower, right? Okay, cool. We're the superpower. Why don't we have this technology since we're so superior, right? I mean, this is extremely impressive. So this is an ad right here that I'm about to fast forward. Beautiful structures, right? China represses its people, and then it represses their people and delivers this to their people. I mean, is this repression? So y'all get the point. So I'm going to get ready to shut it down. I appreciate y'all that came through. And this is the moment where I wind it down. I'm going to play a series of some short visuals, and then I will be out of here. I appreciate y'all. And don't forget to hit the like. It won't cost you a fee. The likes are free. Now I'm about to get up out of here. But without further ado... Yeah. Hey. B-Eazy Dat Dude, shit so hot it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up. I bring the pain like an aftermath of a car wreck. There's a lot of niggas that say they real. To me, that shit is far-fetched. Them cats is pussy. They really is on some feminine stuff. I ride up on them with the 40 ounces. It's the definition of adrenaline. What it do is sweet like cinnamon puffer. My niggas just rough like Willow Pass. Grew up out on Mary Mac, but I used to hang on Willow Pass. These birds that I roll with, outcasts and misfits. For the zip lips when you get hit. When the fifth spit, flatline in your Fitbit. Trap habits is black magic, no voodoo. Get the bands like Buku. For the cocaine, they go cuckoo. Most these niggas is foo-foo, so I'm shitting on them like doo-doo. I can't fuck with y'all like tofu. I'm just saying, man, like Goku. Bad bitches at the house with me watching Netflix or Roku. Fuck them both at the same time, and I swear to God it was so cool. Street legend, real boss, I call shots cause I'm still saucy. I know some G's to the bike crack on Chirac and then fly back out the mill. When they hear me flow, they say I be burning up, burning up. Cookie to the draw is what we burning up, burning up. What you ain't know, oh, we burning up, burning up. This shit so hot, it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up. When you hear me flow, say I be burning up, burning up. Cookie to the draw is what we burning up, burning up. What you ain't know, oh, we burning up, burning up. This shit so hot, it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up.
Ay, we all like B-Eazy. Nah, matter of fact, we love B-Eazy. Believe me, he really that dude. So B-Eazy, tell me how it feel. Ooh, tell me how it feel to be real, to be real, to be really that dude. B-Eazy that dude. You ain't know. ooh. B-Eazy Dat Dude, yeah. B-Eazy. B-Eazy is that dude you already know. For sure, you already know. It's easy to see why he is that dude. He's been a favorite, even if you hating it. Give him his flowers, pay him respect. He's a certified legend and one of the best. B-Eazy, remember the name.
B-Eazy Dat Dude.